Well, it's almost over. Hey everyone! The Drag Race All Stars 11 finale is tomorrow, and I just thought it would be fun if we talked nicely about the 6 finalists. C Davenport, Crystal Methyd, Dawn, Jasmine Kennedie, Joey J, and Silky Nutmeg Ganache. I'm going to talk about these queens as someone who has generally enjoyed the season despite its flaws, and I'm just going to analyse their trajectories throughout the season and seeing if Joey J actually has a chance of taking the crown. Before we get into it, I do just want to say that this channel has no room for hate. At the end of the day, this is just a reality TV show. If you're expecting an anti-Crystal Methyd rant, then I'm sorry, but you're not going to get it. We're just going to have a balanced conversation about how the queens were portrayed on the show and how they were portrayed on the show only. I know a lot of the queens, especially the ones in the finale, have had many different negative opinions shouted at them each week. There has been so much negativity within this fandom over the last few weeks, and I don't want any of that here. If you don't like a particular queen, that is fine. You are not required to like every single contestant that competes on this show, but I really don't see the point in going into every forum, every comment section, and certainly not to the social media profiles of the queens themselves to make your negative opinion known. Why can't we just have positive conversations about this show anymore? Because although there are always going to be moments that make us angry, why should we disregard all the good stuff? Even with the production interference, this has honestly still been the best American All-Stars in years. You people are never happy, okay? I am generally impartial to the queens I'm about to talk about, because I do not know any of them personally, and I understand that the person we see on TV may not be completely authentic to who they are in real life. I am going to be talking strictly about how they have been portrayed on this currently airing season of All Stars. Okay, have we got it? Instead of being nasty, why don't you let me know what your favourite recent Drag Race moment is? And if you seriously can't think of any, then you honestly should have stopped watching a long time ago. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so I know that in the last few days things have escalated between A'keria and Silky. I am going to try to separate what has gone down in real life from what happened on screen, because I do want to focus primarily on how these two have been presented to us on the show. But let's talk about A'keria's trajectory on All Stars 11. A'keria has been a very interesting character on this season. When she was first rumoured, a lot of people were surprised because they assumed that she had been blacklisted from the show after she denied to take part in the Game Within a Game during All Star 6. But honestly, I'm surprised she hasn't already come back. I thought she would have been on a Versus the World by now. A'keria was someone who people have been wanting to see back on All Stars for a while now, since it has been 5 years since she last competed. Although I definitely agree that she got treated unfairly on All Star 6, often being placed in the bottom when she had no business being there at all, but I do think something was definitely off with A'keria regardless. I just don't think she was fully in her element on that season. That being said, she has been mostly such a delight during the season. She may have plateaued a bit in the semi-finals, but that design look, absolutely stunning, possibly one of the best design looks of all time. And she has undoubtedly been the lip-sync assassin of the season. She sent home Kennedy Davenport, and I know a lot of people think that lip-sync should have been a double Shantae, and in a different season I would totally agree, but there isn't really enough room in this season for one. A'keria, along with Dawn, has been the runway queen of the season. I mean, her last look, Tina Burner is shook. I don't think she's had as much of a storyline in this season compared to some of the others, other than the eye-roll inducing feud she has with Silky. They just keep jabbing at each other in confessionals while not actually saying anything to the other's face. It's really annoying. Regardless, A'keria is always such a delight to watch, but I do think she has the lowest chance of winning the season purely because of her track record. She is the only queen in this finale to have proper bottom placements, and although I'm sure there is a season of Drag Race out there in the universe that she could win, All Stars 11 just may not be that season. But I've enjoyed A'keria on the season, and I can't wait to see how they try to justify her losing a lip sync in the finale. I'm not gonna lie, no hate to her, but on her original season, I wasn't the biggest fan of Dawn. I respect her, of course, and I like her style of drag, and I think she's had some gorgeous looks. But ever since she said what she said about people who like musicals, I've lost almost all respect for her. Okay, I may be exaggerating a bit there. I do like Dawn. I mean, she's not my favourite, but I can acknowledge the incredible job she's done this season. I feel like on season 16, Dawn was absolutely ready to compete on Drag Race, but she was on a season with powerhouses like Nymphia, Saphira, Plain Jane, Q, Plasma. She just couldn't quite stand out in the way she would have liked. But oh boy, was she ready to make herself seen in All Stars. If there were any season 16 queens that were going to come back not long after the season aired, I think Dawn was definitely one that makes sense. She's very talented in who she is as a drag human. It's just unfortunate that she had to lip sync against Morphine Love Dion to Body. I mean, bless her. She tried, but come on. She never even stood the tiniest bit of a chance. That was an assassination if I've ever seen one. So, when she came into All Stars and immediately received what was described as an Irene the Alien style redemption, I was glad to see it, because this is what All Stars is all about. Dawn was able to showcase her proper potential, and even if some people personally may not have agreed with any of her particular wins, it's not like any of them were unjustifiable. She did well in all 3 preliminary challenges, but her one weak point was the lip syncs. Not like she did badly necessarily in any of them, but she did lose all 3 of them. And I do believe they only gave her that last lip sync win to get her to shut up about how she can't win a lip sync. She earned the most points in her bracket and rightfully earned her spot in the semi-finals. Last week though, I do think she got lost in the shuffle a little bit, and I have seen some good arguments for her to be in the bottom 2 over Akira, but because of Rate the Queen, she wasn't. I don't think she did necessarily badly last week. It was quite confusing what exactly they were asking the queens to do. It sounded like, be funny, be sweet, but also be inspiring. Her story was funny, but sweet and inspiring? I don't see it. This week, honestly, I have seen some arguments saying that she also justifiably could have won, and I definitely see that. If it wasn't Jasmine, it should have been her. Her talent was sort of like an elevated version of Crystal's performance, since her music actually had lyrics. Yes, a lot of the talents this week did include performing to an original track, but performing the original track in itself wasn't the actual talent. Say, Joey's talent was dancing, Jasmine's talent was cheer, Dawn's talent was the performance around the lip sync, because it takes a lot of creativity to come up with the stylized performance that she did. I guess you can say the same about Crystal, but burlesque is a skill that takes a lot of effort to pull off well, and her runways all throughout the season have been stunning, especially the look she presented this week. I love how Dawn is able to interpret her own style into everything she's asked to do. Dawn, I do think, would be a good winner for the season, but can she win? If it's based on the lip syncing, definitely not. But if it's some other kind of challenge, like if they do a surprise snatch game for the crown, I don't know, it's possible. I feel like if she doesn't win, in about 8 years, Dawn can appear on a Down Under versus the World or something. Her winning this season would be nice, it would be a win for the alternative girlies, and she does have the track record for it, but she is the weakest lip syncer in this finale. But I do enjoy Dawn. I've certainly enjoyed her a lot more than I did on season 16. I definitely think season 16 will be a season that has more than one winner in its cast. We'll just have to wait for Zafira to come back and dominate, and for Plasma to work on her sewing and lip syncing skills. Great job this season, Dawn. Ever since she gave that incredible lip sync performance to Hallucinate during All Stars 8, we all knew Jasmine Kennedie was destined to return to All Stars. It seems like everyone from season 14 is inevitably going to end up on All Stars, and Jasmine was, to me, the next obvious choice to come back. Jasmine is one of the most divisive queens in this cast, arguably the most divisive. Everyone has a different opinion of her, some love her, some hate her, some like her, some don't like her, and some people don't feel either way. I'd say her and Silky are the 2 most controversial semi-finalists in terms of how they made it there, but honestly, I like Jasmine. I think she's a great lip syncer, she's funny, she's great TV, and she is drop dead stunning. Say what you want about how she technically shouldn't have made it to the merge, because I'm still seeing people use that as a means to discredit her performance in the competition, despite that once again being a result of producer interference and not Jasmine herself. Seriously, it's been 3 weeks. Deal with it. She's in the merge, and there's nothing any of us can do about it. But the truth is, she has outlasted both of the queens she initially came into the semi-finals with from her bracket. Part of me does feel that people wouldn't be as mad at Jasmine going through if Morgan also had gone through. I think the reason Rude chose not to break the tie is because, 1, Jasmine is good TV, period. Even if you don't like how she's presented on the show, she is causing drama, and that's one of the main things that Drag Race is known for. And 2, she played a really good social game. When Morgan didn't get picked to move forward, some people initially pointed out that Morgan was one of the driving forces that led to Akira getting as many points as her. And in that sense, she kind of shot herself in the foot. That's my take. Do I think Jasmine has a shot at winning the season? No. Not at all. I love her, but no, it's not happening, and I think she knows that. That being said, I actually think she's done better in the semi-finals than she did in her bracket. I thought she had the 2nd or 3rd best story time last week, and this week, I think she deserves to win the talent show. I have seen some people online saying that it wasn't a very impressive cheer routine. She only did a couple of backflips, and she wobbled a bit when the backup dancers were lifting her up, and she was in flats. Yuck. Guys, it's okay if you don't like Jasmine. you don't need to keep making excuses as to why you don't think she should have won this week. Besides, nobody's performance was 100% perfect. What she showed is a talent, okay? It is. Even if you don't think she should have won, what she presented is a skill that she spent many years building. Yes, she wobbled slightly, but she started out well in my opinion. I've seen some people use the blinking or miss it wobble, which may have been planned for all you know, as a way to discredit her, making out like that was her fault. Meanwhile, those same people are theorising that Joey's dancers were paid to sabotage her. Pick a lane, people. I haven't even gotten to her crying on the main stage yet. Usually when she cries, I roll my eyes, like I know she's only doing it for screen time and points, but still, those were very obviously crocodile tears. This time, however, this felt genuine to me, because she actually did try to shrug it off when Ru asked her if she was okay, but of course they pressed her about it. I cannot believe they actually aired that. Honestly, I don't think Jasmine was crying because she didn't win in itself. It's because she realised in that moment that no matter what she or any of the other queens did, it wouldn't be enough to win the judges over. She also didn't say, I think I deserve to win this challenge, but I do think it's fair enough for her to feel emotional, especially based on what we were shown. She got glowing critiques from Ru and Michelle, but listen to these critiques.
The cheerleading was so fun. I always wanted to be a cheerleader when I was young and closeted.
It was really full of energy, full of technique, full of estrogen. You were fantastic. There was one point when you were about to go up in the air into the rafters. There was just this one look of, oh my gosh, am I going to make it? Yeah, and you made it, and you were so happy.
Jasmine, I've been so proud of you becoming the woman that you are today. Oh. This gown, I have one word for you, fab, 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 fab. Yeah, yes, fab. I'm just so glad that you've blossomed into exactly who you are.
So, in my opinion, I think this was the one and only time this season where Jasmine's crying was somewhat justified, in my opinion. Again, if you don't like Jasmine, that is fine. I totally understand why she might rub people the wrong way. But at the end of the day, she's not going to win the season, so I don't think it's worth letting her presence in the finale bother you, because Morgan wouldn't have won either, because Ru hates her. It sucks, but it's the truth. You don't know Jasmine or any of these queens personally, so my suggestion is, instead of dragging down the people you don't like, why don't you go and uplift the people you do like Joey J. That honestly would have been a good segue into Joey J, but I actually want to talk about Silky first. Silky has had one of the wildest trajectories in the Drag Race fandom, and I've certainly been on a journey with her as well. Season 11, she did well, but people didn't like her. I love her now, but I found her unbearable in her first season. So, when she came into All-Star 6, she was holding herself back, and as a result she didn't do as well in the challenges, which ended up with her going home third. Calendar vs. the World, however, was exactly the Silky we had all been waiting to see. She was great at the competition, she was great in the personality department, and she had great looks. Most of the time. I honestly think she should have won Canada vs. the World. Her or Victoria. And so, when I heard that she'd be coming back again, I wasn't too thrilled. Like, I love Silky, but she's already had a perfect Drag Race story. I couldn't possibly think of a way for this season to go that would be a worthwhile epilogue. I mean, she did appear as a lip-sync assassin on All Stars 8, where she lost to Jimbo, but that's more like a DVD bonus feature. A Toy Story tune, if you will. Has anybody else noticed how all the lip-sync assassins from All Stars 8 that aren't winners or hosts have returned to All Stars since then? Aja, Chanel, Jasmine, Angeria, Georges and Silky. Unfortunately, I do think this is probably Silky's weakest showing on Drag Race, in the sense that I don't think people are really talking about her. I mean, they are talking about her, but not because of what she's done on the season. She has one win, which some people disagreed with, and she did do a decent job in the lip sync. I think it was really obvious that Silky and Crystal would be the two that made it to the merge regardless of how anyone else did. Her role in the season has mainly been, interestingly enough, the voice of reason. Obviously she was really shady in that final MVQ ceremony in the pink bracket, tricking Aura and Crystal into giving her their points and then just threw her own points at April because April was definitely not making it through. That was a great TV moment, but it also does suck for Selena, who I honestly do think probably should have made it through over her. Why didn't they just have 3 people go through from each bracket? I thought the whole point of only having 2 people go through was so that there could be 6 people in the semi-finals, eliminate 2 in the merge, and have a top 4 finale. But now, because of the no tie-break and the wildcard, we're going into the finale with 6 people, when there's only supposed to be 6 people in the semi-finals to begin with. So anyway, it's weird that Silky went from being the one who started the fire to being the one who tried to put it out. After Selena's legendary meltdown after she didn't make it through to the merge, Silky was the one who came to talk to Selena, and in the most recent Untucked, she went and reassured Crystal that Jasmine wasn't upset at her for winning the challenge. She obviously didn't say whose fault it actually was, though. I wonder why. The only other real talking point with Silky this season has been her feud with Akira, which has not been handled well at all. They're being so vague about it, and yeah, I sort of know what went down last summer, but what about the viewers that don't? Silky hasn't really had as much of a presence in this season as I thought she would, and in my opinion, she possibly should have been in the bottom for the talent show over Sam. That way we could have had the Silky and Akira lip sync we're all salivating for. You never know. It may happen next week, but at this rate I feel like Akira could beat anyone and everyone. So yeah, I do think it's unlikely that she'll be taking the crown. If they wanted to give Silky a crown, they would have done it on Canada versus the World. When the cast was first announced, people assumed that Silky and Kennedie would be the ones getting the most rigging in their favour. But here we are. Kennedie's not here anymore, and Silky's just kind of there. I seriously mean it when I say that I don't know how Silky's Drag Race story can continue past this season. And it is a shame, because I do really enjoy Silky. I do. Obviously, if it's a lip sync for the crown, then she's likely to make it to the next round, unless she goes against either Akira or Crystal. Joey J has been such a delight this season. When she first appeared on the cast list, a lot of people were expecting her to be one of those queens who's pleasant enough, but would easily fade into the background, especially in a bracket with C Davenport, Jasmine Kennedie, and Sam Starr. I think the season 13 cast is a lot better than people give it credit for. Like, the season still sucks, but the cast is mostly incredible. But when you think about it, if you reserve Simone for the next All Winners, there's really only 3 people left that I can imagine coming back for All Stars anymore. Back in 2023, right after Candy and Lala appeared on All Stars 8, I took the remaining 10 non-winning queens and separated them half and half into likely and less likely. I think the 5 I said were likely were Denali, Rosé, Olivia, Yuzuka, and Gottmik, and the 5 at least likely were Kimura, Joey, Tamisha, Elliot, and Tina. I'm really sorry, Tina, I'm so glad you're on All Stars 10, but gosh how wrong I was in general about the separation. Joey wasn't really someone the fandom talked about much, other than the whole first gay contestant thing. People were expecting the purple bracket to be another dud, like last year, but boy how wrong we were. The purple bracket was easily my favourite, and it was mainly because of Joey J. Joey has been such a breath of fresh air, and I'm happy that amongst the confusion and controversy, the one thing this fandom has been able to agree on is that Joey J is awesome, and I can confidently say that I would like her to win. In the past, I have said that I don't necessarily agree with queens winning Drag Race without winning a maxi challenge, but I actually think I rescind that statement. If Joey J wins RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 11, I think the world will officially be saved. If World of Wonder actually wants to gag us and restore our faith in the original Drag Race franchise, they should crown Joey J. The blatant homophobia from RuPaul and production has been truly appalling. Most people, myself included, agree that Joey should have had at least 2 wins this season, but instead she's the only contestant in the finale with no wins. But so what?
What?
She should have won both the Rap and Roast and the Story Time, in my opinion. And her runways have been a huge step up from season 13. See what happens when you put on a wig? I'm kidding, but the wigs didn't look good on her. And I think she should win the season. Why? Because she is exactly what an all-star should be. All other queens in this finale, we've seen a lot of. They've either competed on multiple seasons, or they've made it more than 10 episodes in their original seasons. Joey, however, only got 4 episodes to show herself to us. Same amount of episodes as Kylie Sonique Love. She didn't really get much of a chance to shine in her original season. She literally described herself as a filler queen, and got sent home by someone who glued a couple of bags to a corset. I don't think she did particularly bad in either of her lip syncs on season 13. So imagine how she could have stepped up her lip syncing game just like she stepped up everything else. So, about her performance on this season. The first episode was a pretty mediocre design challenge, I'm not gonna lie, but even still, Joey's look was certainly a step up from her final bag ball look. She was definitely 3rd place in the challenge, in my opinion. The queens in the purple bracket all came from different seasons, but it wasn't always supposed to be that way. We now know that Utica was supposed to be in bracket 3 instead of Sam, but had to pull out because of the Project Runway press junket. But now the first episode sewing challenge makes sense. She would have wiped everyone else. But guys, we could have seen Utica do a rapping roast. Imagine the memes. Okay, yeah, got a bit off track there. Back to Joey J. Second challenge, my top 2 were Joey and Hershey. I would have been fine with any combination of these 3, but I think Joey had better lyrics than Kennedy. The rapping roast was so good, everyone was great. I've listened to that song so many times, and Joey's verse I keep rewinding over and over. Third challenge was quite divisive. I've seen valid arguments for everyone to be in the top. I think it's a good thing if everyone justifiably could have been in the top 2. And even though she only ended the bracket with 2 points, Joey did a lot better than her final score would suggest. So I was very glad that she came back as the wild card. Yes, it would have also been nice to have Morgan or Selena back, but Joey seems to make Rue laugh in a way we haven't really seen him laugh in a while. As in, a more genuine laugh. She had Rue cackling in the Storytime challenge, and still didn't get the win. Insanity. We know by now that the assignment is always make Rue laugh in these types of challenges, and she did that. Bigoted producers. This talent show, however, even if the stunt not landing was the dancer's fault, I do still think it should cost Joey a top spot because she did let it show on her face. She could have maybe gotten away with it if she'd styled it out. Regardless though, I still think Joey's performance throughout the season is good enough to justify giving her the win, even though she never won any challenges. This has potential to be one of the greatest seasons of all time if Drag Race crowns its first gay winner. And if she doesn't win, I could see them pulling a Nicole Paige Brooks. Get Joey on the next UK versus the World, or whatever international all-stars they want. They should have a Universal All-Stars featuring only gay contestants, and it will be only Joey because Sam's not available, and because she's the only competitor, she wins every single challenge and becomes the ultimate homosexual queen of the mother-sucking universe. That's a world I think we would all like to live in. Now we have Crystal. Now listen, I want to make this very clear. I am a fan of Crystal. I really enjoyed her on season 12. I think she went on a real journey, even if she did need a little help from production to get her there. All Stars seemed inevitable. The question was, when? And for a while, I honestly didn't even think it would happen. It sounded like a pipe dream. Until now. When I first found out that Crystal would finally be appearing on All Stars, my immediate reaction was, oh, she's winning this, and I'm fine with that. Of course, I try not to be delusional. I imagined that she would get some help from production, but initially I was fine with it. Season 12 is a season that should have multiple winners, but with Jan getting Janned, Heidi quitting, and Jackie getting semi-done dirty on Canada All-Stars last week, it seemed like Crystal's time is coming. The vitriol within the fandom over these last few weeks have made it very clear that if Crystal really is taking the crown this season, the fandom will generally not be happy. Obviously, everyone was expecting Crystal to receive a little favouritism, and during her bracket, there was some accusations of her receiving the Ginger Minge treatment, but I think most people were willing to deny that because despite winning the first 2 challenges in her bracket, she still almost didn't make it through to the merge. She only made it there because April gave her that MBQ point. Let's talk about the bracket for a second. I've seen a lot of arguments that the top 2 should have been Aura and Selena, and if they were judging individually, then maybe yes, but it wasn't, and that fact alone is not enough justification to say that this season has immediately been rigged in Crystal's favour. Some people also disagree with her winning the first lip sync, but I personally thought it was fair. I think Aura was winning in the first half, but then she got very frantic, whereas Crystal had a more balanced performance in my opinion. The second episode, I wasn't a big fan of Crystal's runway, but I think the top 2 of the challenge was obviously some combination of Crystal, Silky and Selena, and she was never going to win that lip sync, even if Silky didn't block her. In the third episode, I did enjoy her makeover, but I do agree that it was maybe a bit too much. But still, if it wasn't for April giving her that last point, there would have been another tie. Drew probably still would have picked Crystal to go through. But what if April had given that point to Selena? Well, in that case, Crystal would definitely be the wild card. I don't think people were really that mad, all things considered. Once we get to the merge, things really start to take a turn, and people finally had to admit that she'd been receiving the Ginger Minge treatment. If you were to say to someone who's never heard of Drag Race that Crystal Methyd got Ginger Minged, they would probably stare at you in confusion for a solid 60 seconds. Both of her semi-final challenge wins came across as sus to the wider Drag Race fandom, and everyone could see right through production's shenanigans. But they literally didn't need to do that. Even little things, like having it be a variety show instead of a talent show, would have made her episode 11 win even slightly more justifiable. People have pointed out that the fans maybe haven't been up in arms in the same way they were about Ginger, but I don't know. Sometimes that statement can read as, why aren't you bullying Crystal as much as you bullied Ginger? And obviously I'm sure that's not what they mean, but it does kind of sound that way when you hear it for the first time. But the thing is, same case of Ginger, Crystal did not need this help from production to have a winner-worthy track record going into the finale. I've been thinking about it a lot, and there are a few things I've noticed about the differences in handling Crystal's favouritism versus Ginger's. Firstly, Crystal went in the second bracket, whereas Ginger was in the third, so we did get a 3-week break from seeing Crystal in the competition, so viewers were able to focus on the adventures of the purple bracket looking forward to the semi-finals. In All Stars 10, we got 6 consecutive weeks of Ginger, and the start of the purple bracket was the exact point at which the season's quality started to dwindle. Ginger's favouritism happened primarily in her bracket, whereas for Crystal it was in the merge. Looking back on it, I actually don't think Ginger had anything to do with the All Stars 10 merge being bad. I don't necessarily think she was the main focus of either of the episodes, even the Snatch Game, which she won, fairly. If anything, Mistress was the main character in episodes 10 and 11. Other than Crystal's questionable wins, I actually think the All Stars 11 merge has been pretty good. The storylines are there, the drama is there, the incredible lip syncs were certainly there, but people online seem to really be focusing on Crystal's wins as a reason for this entire season now being garbage. But you people should know by now that All-Star seasons never stick the landing. That doesn't mean everything sucks because of one aspect. You guys are never happy. Like, for example, Season 6. Season 6 is widely considered to be one of the best seasons of all time, if not the best, and it's certainly up there for me. But when you think about it, season 6 has many questionable production choices. Adore not being in the bottom for the horror acting challenge, Vendela Creme being saved after losing the lip sync to Darian, Jocelyn not being immediately disqualified for talking the way she did to Cher's mum. I know this may be controversial, but if season 6 aired for the first time today, the fandom would be just as pissed about it as they are for every single season that airs. But they don't care about the rigging and stuff when happened in earlier seasons, because nostalgia, that's what it is. However, even though I disagreed with Crystal's last 2 wins, I still think she's done a good enough job this season to justify her winning. Obviously, I do think it's going to be harder to justify her winning a lip sync for the crown, but they made it disco themed, and the first lip sync she won this season was to a disco song. Crystal has still done a good job on this season, regardless, because even though she was given the wins to keep her out of potentially being rated in the bottom 2 by the other queens, she still did do well in those last 2 challenges. She was a solid 2nd or 3rd place in both of them, in my opinion. Production obviously didn't want her track record to be tainted at the hands of the other queens, but I'm assuming much to the producer's shock, the queens rated mostly fairly, so it's unlikely that Crystal would have ended up lip syncing regardless. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Crystal is awesome, and she deserves a crown. Although I'm still rooting for Joey J, I'll still be happy if Crystal wins. And even if Crystal doesn't win, people are still going to complain, because that's what they always do. When was the last time a Drag Race winner wasn't controversial? At this point, you could literally go on Drag Race and do legitimately well at every challenge and mini-challenge, win a lip sync to any kind of song, have the exact charisma, uniqueness, nerve and talent that RuPaul is looking for, and folks will still say you didn't deserve to win because they don't like the shoes you wore in your finale performance. I want Joey J to win the season, but if Crystal wins, I won't be upset. I think this is going to be a season that people will come around to with time. When season 17 first aired, I absolutely loved it, but I saw a lot of people claiming that it was a good season of reality television, but not necessarily a good season of Drag Race. I hard disagree, but the funny thing is, when season 18 turned out to be a snooze fest, I suddenly saw loads of comments like, damn, season 17 was so good, we didn't realise how well we had it. Also, it appears that there is no Snatch Game this season, another thing people are pointing to as a reason this whole thing is rigged in Crystal's favour. But think about it. Do you really want to see a Snatch Game with these queens? I don't think so. People will be upset with the outcome of this season, whatever it is, but I'm going to lock in my prediction that when All Stars 12 turns into a shit show towards the end, the people who claimed that they were done with Drag Race this year will realise that All Stars 11 really wasn't that bad after all. Drag Race has never been completely fair, and it never will be. If you don't like that, then either deal with it or stop watching altogether. Congratulations, Crystal. Even if I haven't agreed with all of your wins this season, I don't at all blame you for it, and you have been very entertaining to watch. I guess in conclusion, no matter what happens tomorrow, people will be upset. Whether it's Crystal's fans being upset that she didn't win, or anyone else's fans that are upset that whoever else didn't win. Every week, especially towards the end of the season, all I ever see people doing is complaining. I swear that every single queen in the semi-final, in particular Crystal and Jasmine, and to a lesser extent Silky and Akira, have had such horrible comments made about them each week. Even if it's not directly to their social media pages, on every single YouTube video, Reddit thread, anything, there are always people that have something nasty to say about someone. Are there queens in the RuPaul's cinematic universe I don't particularly like? Absolutely. However, I'm not going to go out of my way to let other people know how I feel about someone I've never met. If you are one of the people who says every season that they're going to stop watching Drag Race, I have a little challenge for you. How about you actually do it? I dare you. Stop watching Drag Race for a year. I did. It helped me out a lot. My other suggestion, and I'm going to be very serious about this one, is that if you do not want Crystal to win, but believe she will anyway, so you know that the finale tomorrow is going to piss you off, don't watch it. I didn't watch the All Stars 10 finale for that same reason. So, I genuinely mean it. Trust me, there is a world outside of Drag Race. You're gonna be okay. My final suggestion is that instead of going to any post about this season and complaining that you think Crystal is an untalented freak who is somehow responsible for production pushing her, or that Jasmine Kennedie is a diva and a horrible, jealous, envious person, or that Dawn is boring and that she doesn't have what it takes to be a winner, or that Silky is lame and never should have accepted the opportunity to be on TV again, I suggest going to tell Joey J that she is awesome and that you love her. The world would be a better place if we were all kinder to each other. I know I've been harsh in this video, but it's only because I care. Of course, again, you're allowed to have your opinion, but don't feel the need to let your negative opinion make other people feel miserable. At the end of the day, it is just a TV show. These queens are all going to be fine, whether you like the way they were presented on TV or not. That is my piece, and I'm going to ask you what has been your favourite moment from All Stars 11. I'd probably say the makeover or the wrap and roast. And don't lie and say there hasn't been any good moments in this season. You know there has. People only started complaining in the last 3 episodes. Same as always. But if you seriously think the season is as bad as Global All Stars, then tell me another favourite moment. Just anything positive. Please. The world needs it. Please. Tell me something good. Okay, bye.